The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has released new data profiling exactly what would happen to Florida if we continue treating the environment the way that we do. Of course, this has to do with climate change. Of course, Republicans refuse to even discuss this issue, but we have some severe consequences to deal with if we don't change our behavior. So first of all, let me show you a few images that give you a sense of what Florida is likely to look like if we don't do anything about climate change. The first graphic will show you a side-by-side. Of course, there's the current state of Florida on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, you'll see what Florida will look like in 2048 to 2066. Because of the ice sheets melting and the sea level rising, a significant chunk of Miami Beach will be underwater. You'll see what Florida will look like in 2074 to 2100. That is pretty devastating. Yeah. So this is something that, you know, your children are going to experience. For people who are very, very young right now, something that they're going to experience. Many people will have to be relocated because of this situation. And I mean, if you take a look at what Florida is going to look like in 2094 to 2122.
Yeah. Well, I think, go back to the 6 feet, I think you can still fit in a good bike path. I think you could have that if you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as it points out in the research that we did on this topic, it won't necessarily even take that long. It's possible that it could happen far more abruptly.
So the melting ice sheets are actually, the melting process is accelerating. It's becoming faster and faster. And according to the data, including estimates based on limited and maximum melt of the Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets, it anticipated a rise of 4.1 to 6.6 feet by 2100, reaching 2 feet by around 2050 and 3 feet by around 2075. We are already seeing the ramifications of what we're doing to the environment, and the consequences are going to be disastrous in the coming decades. Yeah. And the incredible part about all of this is the damage is already done. I mean, at this point, we need to start talking about what we can do to mitigate it, right?
Bunkers.
Right? So let me tell you, the degree of sea level rise would make nearly all the barrier islands of the world inhabitable, inundate a major portion of the world's deltas upon which hundreds of millions of people live, and leave low-lying coastal zones like southeast Florida increasingly difficult to maintain infrastructure services for and increasingly vulnerable to hurricanes and storms. Yeah. And apparently, even if we stopped burning fossil fuels at this point, it's not going to make that much of a difference because the greenhouse gases already in the atmosphere will continue to warm the atmosphere for at least another 30 years. Yeah. So obviously we should stop burning fossil fuels, but we've already done so much damage that will continue to destroy the planet for coming decades.
Yeah, so we have to cut the emissions that we're doing right now, and we also have to develop technologies to recapture carbon from the atmosphere, something that we haven't done nearly enough work on so far. So you're talking about what was so surprising. Another thing that's so surprising is that to try to shock people out of their complacency, the only thing that we can apparently do to scare them about the possible effects of climate change is to show them sort of the coastal lines changing. Yeah. Like that is like, it's visually impressive, but it's one of the least scary consequences. Like if the globe heats in the way that we expect it will over the next 100 years, we're looking at pervasive foreign and civil wars around major parts of the globe as countries have to fight over resources like water and things like that. We're looking at the spread of new diseases. We're looking at massive worldwide famine as a result of core crops being wiped out because of changes in climate. And we're looking at hundreds of millions or billions of people being displaced or killed because of the primary and secondary effects of climate change. But hopefully you care about Miami.